You ever show up somewhere, feeling like the whole world's already got you pegged as the underdog, the one who doesn't belong? That's how it was for Lena Carter, stepping off that dusty bus into the blistering heat of Fort Ironside, a military training campout in the middle of nowhere, Arizona. The sun was relentless, like it was trying to burn her into the ground before she even got her boots dirty. Lena, all of 22, was hauling a duffel bag that weighed half as much as she did, her dark hair sticking to her sweat-soaked neck, and already she could feel the eyes dozens of him tracking her every move across the courtyard like wolves sizing up a stray lamb. Late, huh? Ain't that just perfect? The voice hit her like a punch, rough and sharp, coming from the barracks entrance. That was Sergeant Boone, a grizzled bear of a man with a face like weathered bark and eyes that could spot a lie from a mile away. 2 tours in Iraq, scars to prove it, and a reputation for breaking recruits just 'cause he could. He stepped out of the shadows, his boots crunching on the gravel, and behind him trailed a pack of recruits guys like Tommy Big T Walsh, a linebacker-sized dude with a grin that screamed trouble, and Eddie Klein, a twitchy city kid who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. They were sizing her up, smirking, already writing her off. "Carter, I presume," Boone drawled, circling her slow, like a shark. "In my world, late means dead. Dead means your squad's dead. And if your squad's dead 'cause of you, I make your life hell. We clear." Lena squared her shoulders, voice steady despite the heat clawing at her. "Yes, Sergeant." Boone leaned in close, coffee breath hitting her face. "Louder." "Yes, Sergeant." The guys behind him chuckled, and Lena caught Big T muttering to Eddie, "Bet she's gone by Friday." That first day, they threw her to the wolves. Boone barked, "Drop and give me 50. Lena hit the scalding concrete, palms burning, and started pumping out push-ups. She'd trained for this, months of prep, or so she thought, but the Arizona sun didn't care. By push-up 20, sweat stung her eyes, and the recruits circled her like vultures. "Come on, sweetheart, don't quit now," Big T called, his voice dripping with fake cheer. "Maybe we should get her a pillow," Eddie tossed in, getting a laugh. Her arms shook, palms scrapping raw, but Lena powered through, hitting 50 just as Boone's boots stopped an inch from her face. "On your feet, Carter. Time for the real fun." The obstacle course was a nightmare, ropes that tore her hands, walls that bruised her ribs, mud pits that sucked at her boots. She fell, hard, on the rope climb, crashing into the mud while the others jeered. "My grandma moves faster than that," someone shouted. 3 more tries, 3 more falls, her hands leaving red streaks on the rope. By the time she crawled through the final barbed wire mud pit, she was a mess, bleeding, bruised, and alone. That night in the mess hall, Lena sat at a corner table, wiping blood from her palms with antiseptic wipes, trying to ignore the whispers. $20 says she's out by Wednesday," Eddie said, loud enough for her to hear. "Wednesday? That's generous," Big T shot back. Lena kept her eyes down, but her fingers brushed a small mark on her wrist, a faint scar, something most would mistake for an old cut. In the right light, though, it looked like a coiled rattler, ready to strike. She flexed her hand, bandaged and sore, and let herself smile, just a little. They had no idea who they were messing with. 3 weeks in, and Fort Ironside had become a pressure cooker. The teasing wasn't just teasing Anna Marie, it was mean, personal. Lena's boots got filled with soap, her spare uniform slashed to ribbons. One night, she hit the showers late, hoping for peace, but Big T, Eddie, and a guy named Mitch were waiting. "Look who's finally cleaning up," Big T grinned, blocking the exit. Lena ignored them, turning on the water, letting the heat wash away the day's grime. Then Big T cranked the valve, and scalding water hit her like fire. She gasped, jumping back, but Mitch blocked her path, smirking. "Oops, water heater's acting up," Eddie said, all fake concern. Lena stood there, skin red, steam rising around her, and something shifted in her isomethane, cold, sharp, like a blade being drawn. She looked at each of them, memorizing every detail. Big T's slight limp from an old knee injury, Eddie's nervous tick of checking his pocket, Mitch's scarred knuckle from a bar fight. "You're right," she said, voice low, barely audible over the hiss of the water. "Maintenance should fix that." She reached past Big T, turned off the valve, and walked out, leaving wet footprints and 3 stunned recruits in her wake. That night, Lying in her bunk, Lena felt the scar on her wrist pulse, like it was alive. The others slept, thinking they'd broken her, but she was planning. The mouse was about to bare its fangs. At midnight, an alarm screamed through the barracks, red lights flashing like a horror show. Boone's voice crackled over the intercom. All recruits to the staging area, full combat gear, weapons hot, move. Chaos erupted, guys tripping over gear, cursing in the dark. Lena moved like she was born for it, gear snapping into place with eerie precision. Outside, the air was thick, thunder rumbling in the distance. Boone stood like a statue. The obstacle course behind him turned into a fog-drenched war zone, smoke machines churning out ghostly clouds. Hostile incursion drill, he barked. Live fire, get through the course, neutralize threats, secure the package. Screw up, you fail. Carter, you're up first. The recruits snickered, expecting her to crash and burn, but Lena stepped to the line. Rifle low, eyes scanning the fog like she could see through it. Begin, Boone shouted, and she was gonna melting into the smoke like she was part of it. The others squinted, trying to track her, but she was a ghost. 30 seconds in, a shot rang out, then the clang of a perfect hit. Where the hell is she? Big T muttered. More shots, each one dead on, echoing from impossible angles. 8 minutes later, half the expected time, Lena emerged, uniform clean, breath steady, rifle still ready. Boone stared, jaw tight. How, he asked. Training, Sergeant, Lena said, giving nothing away. The others ran the course, some decent, some sloppy, but none came close to her. Whispers followed her back to the barracks. She moved like she could see in the dark. Those shots, man, no way. Then the storm hit, a monster of a thing, lightning cracking the sky, rain hammering the roof like bullets. At 10:23 p.m., an explosion shook the base, followed by alarms and Boone's voice, panicked now. Hostile breach, armed intruders in the compound, stay in the barracks. The recruits froze, hearing gunfire and shouts in a language they didn't know. Lena slipped to the window, eyes picking out details in the chaos. 6 attackers, move in like pros, military-grade gear, Eastern European accents. Not amateurs, she murmured. Before anyone could blink, she was gone. What happened next is the stuff of legends. Security cameras caught glimpses of something not human, not quite moving through vents, slipping past guards. Weapons vanished from racks, radios went dead, lights flickered out. In the command center, the terrorists had hostages, demanding access to classified data. Their leader, a cold-eyed man with a scar across his jaw, gave him 30 minutes. He didn't know death was already in the walls. Lena moved like a shadow, talking out the first guy with a silent chokehold, catching his body before it hit the floor. The second went down under a console, out cold before he could blink. 2 more fell in the dark, one strangled, one knocked out with a strike too fast to see. The last 2, including the leader, never had a chance. Lena dropped from a vent, moving like liquid lightning, dodging bullets like she knew where they'd land. In seconds, they were tied up, unconscious, weapons stacked neatly against the wall. When the backup team stormed in, Lena was sitting in a corner, looking like she'd just been hiding. Found him like this, she said, voice calm. Maybe they fought each other. The team leader didn't buy it, but what could he say? She was just a recruit, right? Back in the barracks, the others stared at her, knowing something had changed. Big T's boots were sliced to pieces, Eddie's rifle reassembled wrong, Mitch's uniform shredded like confetti. And by each bunk, a tiny drawing in the dust, a coiled rattler, eyes watching. None of them slept that night. By morning, Colonel James Decker rolled into Fort Ironside, a decorated vet with eyes like steel and a file full of secrets. He'd seen the footage blurry, impossible glimpses of a shadow moving too fast, too smooth. In the briefing room, he froze a frame, zooming in on a wrist with a scar shaped like a snake. Jesus, he whispered, then demanded to see the recruits. On the parade ground, Lena stood calm while the others fidgeted, her rifle perfect, her breath steady. Decker stopped in front of her, lifted her sleeve, and saw a black rattler mark, a scar burned into her skin, the sign of a ghost operative, a legend whispered in dark corners of the military. Black Rattler, he said, and the recruits froze, realizing they'd been mocking a killer who could have ended them any time. How many? Decker asked. 17 confirmed, Lena said, voice flat. 3 rescues, 2 deep covers. The truth hit like a grenade. Lena Carter was Agent Viper, a myth made real. The base changed overnight. Lena took over training, teaching moves no manual could touch, how to read shadows, predict threats, see past lies. Big T threw himself into it, his cocky grin replaced by real grit. Eddie soaked up tactics like a sponge, his nervous energy turning sharp. Even Mitch, the cruelest of M, found a quiet strength, leaving his old self behind. The whole base started looking at each other different, wondering who else might be hiding something. 3 weeks later, Lena watched a new batch of recruits step off the bus, her eyes catching a small, quiet girl who looked like she didn't belong. Reminds you of someone? Decker asked, sidling up. Lena smiled, sharp and knowing. Maybe. Or maybe she's just what she seems. Either way, she won't face it alone. That night, Lena stood outside the new recruits' barracks, watching the girl through the window, sitting alone, looking small under the harsh lights. Big T and Eddie were already keeping an eye on her, ready to step in if the others got rough. The cycle was starting again, but this time, there were protectors in the shadows. Lena melted into the dark, the Arizona sky rumbling with distant thunder. Agent Viper wasn't just a ghost anymore, she was a guardian, and Fort Ironside would never be the same. So what do you think? Was Lena right to play the mouse, letting him underestimate her till she could strike? Or should she have shown her fangs from day one? And what about those recruits? Did they deserve her mercy after everything they did? Drop a comment, tell me your take. Is there a Viper hiding in your world, waiting to surprise you? Share this story if it hit you hard, and let's talk about the masks we all wear.